think I'm streaming here. So, uh, multiple people have told me, hey, speak up your voice. Turn up your volume. If you can't hear me too well, please turn up your volume. I'll try what I can. I'm going to try speaking louder. If I speak too much louder, the audio is going to clip. It's going to sound nasty. It's going to be gross. So here, let's see. Since this is a live stream, you might want to skip ahead if you're not watching live. But in the meantime, I'm going to fix things so that this isn't super choppy. All right. Okay. All right, I'm going to share the web link for people to watch this live stream. Just going to get some of that maintenance out of the way. And here, I'm going to be talking about doing $1 million in 2 days. And this has to do with this incredible demand for Hedron. Hedron is a project that I recently talked about. And Hedron's doing some pretty crazy stuff. And this is all built on top of HEX. This is all built on people being able to get more liquidity out of HEX. And that's cool. That's okay. Hedron. What's Hedron about? There's a previous live stream that I did a couple days ago about that. And here, I mean, we have $1 million. Did $1 million 2 days. That's pretty crazy. But here, this is what you want to see. It's opportunities like this in crypto that everybody's looking for. So pay attention. The purpose of this is I think Hedron's price is going to go a bit crazy. And I never, ever do videos on prices or anything like that. I usually tweet about this information. But here what we have is we have a pretty unique situation, especially for hexagons. Hedron allows you to take advantage of your hex stakes maturity. You can trade it. You can trade your hex stakes. You can borrow against them. You can get free liquidity. And this has been a pretty popular topic lately. Especially with HEX Las Vegas. Richard Hart talked about, what did he talk about? He talked about encapsulated stakes. And encapsulated stakes are, this is what Hedron is doing. It is encapsulating, you're able to use Hedron to encapsulate new stakes. And for your old stakes, you can mint Hedron for that. So you get free crypto, and that's pretty cool. Okay. So I'll say it again, this allows people to take advantage of their stakes, their HEX stakes maturity. And the market that is developing for it is pretty cool. I consider Hedron super undervalued, and that has a lot to do with the total supply of Hedron versus HEX. HEX's total supply. And normally that's not important, but here, where Hedron's going to allow people to trade each other's, trade HEX stakes, and Hedron's also going to allow people to borrow against their HEX stakes and even auction off HEX stakes that people didn't pay back what they borrowed. That's a cool opportunity for everybody. Very unique to the HEX world. And Hedron has been audited. I haven't read the audit myself. I don't even know if it's published. I'm going to be completely honest about that with you. It's one of my next things to look at with Hedron. I doubt it really because that's, you pay for that information, but could be. All right, I'm going to post one more link here, and then I'll start talking about Hedron. If you're into HEX, you live in Hexaco. If you're into Hedron, you live in Hedronia. It's a little side information. Okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at here, we're going to look at the liquidity for Hedron. And we're going to look at the chart just to see what's going on. Once again, I don't do chart videos ever. I look at charts like crazy. Yeah, I look at the tokenomics of things like crazy, and I've taken a deep dive in Hedron's tokenomics. You know, with HEX you had pump-amentals, and with Hedron, yeah, you have pump-amentals, but with Hedron you have burn-amentals that are really interesting for the price. You know, a lot of people lately are very much into, how do you say? I mean, people lately, they're into HEX. They like things that where number only goes up, and the idea of pump-amentals is really cool, right? But and then now with burn-amentals, that's where like Pulse X comes in. So any of you familiar with Pulse X, it's a completely deflationary token. So over time, the token just gets more and more rare. So over time, the token gets more and more scarce as well. You know, same words, similar meanings. And the more scarce something is, its value tends to go up. It just depends if it's useful. It depends if people want to use that. Okay. Excuse me. So here, all right, got a little preliminary flex I'm going to do. Yeah, so $1 million in 2 days. Imagine that. Like that's an emotional amount of money for most people. And you know, if you're in the crypto world and you're trading and you want to you want to do better monetarily, there's something you really got to know that I think a lot of people overlook, underlook, don't consider is that your worth, your net worth, the amount of cash you have, it's a very emotional thing. And listen to me when I say emotional. If you want to have more money and you don't, there is an emotional reason why you don't have that more money. And if you can find that emotional reason, that is like a true like way where you can attract more of what you're looking for. So look into that. Okay. First of all, here I think I'm gonna keep the jacket on. Oh, cool. I think I'm gonna keep this jacket on here. Been working a ton today. And my work is, I'm retired, so my work is looking at tokenomics for other items. My work is also working on some game theory and finalizing some game theory for a token that I think is going to be extremely interesting. So that's my work lately. Let's see what we have here. We have, I don't know if you can see this. It's cool. It's like very subtle, elegant, like Louis Vuitton. I like Louis Vuitton stuff. Always talking about it. Jacket. I'm gonna keep this thing on. I love this thing. And so here's some quick little hex flexes. This might be a Hedron flex, but I did not liquidate any Hedron though. So that depends. But Hedron has so much potential, and in this video I'm going to talk about all of the potential of Hedron. It's disgusting, and it's pretty cool. And this is the opportunity the potential opportunities that everybody looks for. This thing. All right, this is a $2,000 box of and I'm just gonna throw stuff in, and I like it. I like this clear acrylic Louis Vuitton thing. It's pretty cool. But so you make right moves in the crypto world, and you work on your emotions to accept like a lot of the emotional things that happen when you have like more money or you get more money. You work on these things, and this stuff happens. It happens over time. Just keep persistent with yourself. And so I love this. I don't know what I'm gonna put in it, but it's cool. And I've been getting a lot of private messages lately about, and probably public posts, sure. I don't know. Just like asking, hey man, what's in the effing safe? Well, whatever's in there, I'm not gonna put in here. But yeah, this office area. I'm sure it's not too hard for somebody to get into the office. To just jimmy the door, but maybe we'll just take that whole thing. It's not too secure, but nothing crazy is in there. Let's just do that. So I got this. This is pretty neat. Here, I'm going to put something in it already. I'm going to put my Aston Martin keys in it. And my Mercedes S-Class keys. Do we have any other car keys to put in it? No. Versace watch. I'm still in love with this thing. This thing is freaking cool. And one more quick flex before I get more into Hedron. Big bag. Just a backpack. I had a backpack I lost. Now I got this backpack. This thing looks huge, but it's comfortable as hell. Just a Louis Vuitton backpack. 2,700. Can't wait to actually use it. It's gonna be like my bug out bag where I can just leave whenever I want. Do travel a lot lately, and sometimes you just want to leave. All right, so let's go on to Hedron. Let's get that out of the way. Let's go on to Hedron. Okay, well, Hedron's price is going crazy. Hedron's price is going nuts, and here's why. Let me show you a chart. But first, once again, Hedron is allowing you to take advantage of your HEX stakes maturity. So when you're familiar with HEX, you burn HEX to get T shares, and then you're staking. And then what Hedron does is Hedron's got an interesting way to monetize T shares and have them be traded back and forth or borrowed from. And that's the beauty here. But you got to use the Hedron system. Now, first, let's look at. Let me see. Okay, cool. Let's look at this first. All right, what we have here is, I'm gonna say hello in chat. Hello. So what we have here is, over the last 24 hours, okay, the volume for Hedron, this is, if you haven't been watching the trading volume, or if you have been, let me show you some things that are super bullish to look at. I'm not gonna talk about patterns and crap like that, because to be frank, patterns don't mean shit. I'm sorry. Like, the most meaning that patterns have are people wanting to make meaning from that. And maybe I'm just ignorant. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. I don't know everything, but what I do know here is that the trading volume over the last days has been more like, it's been more like $1 million worth of trading volume. And so here we've had like an explosion of trading volume, $7.5 million worth of volume. And you see here, you see this huge, this super big spike. Like, it's so big that you can't even see. You can't even see like what's actually going on. Oh, here's some price stuff, right? Just going nuts, up and to the right, and then a little bit down, and then more people are deciding to buy. But let me tell you about what happened earlier. So the price of Hedron now is about like 5 zeros, and then number 5. So there's a lot of zeros, and this is relative to the US dollar. So how many dollars? Well, it's in the like millicents or something like that. If you want to know how many dollars it is, you put a little period, and then you put 5 zeros, and then you put some numbers. Small value. But today, from something that happened, instead of 5 zeros, there's 3 zeros, and then like more than 1 5. That means is earlier today, Hedron exploded in price. It exploded in price because some whale or some person, probably not a big whale, bought Hedron on a market that had a small amount of liquidity. Like here, what I'm looking at on DexGuru, Dex.guru, is like $1.1 million worth of liquidity. I don't know if that's just on Uniswap 3 or what. I don't know. But what I can tell you is this person just bought this big, huge sharp incline here, which is more than like, which is probably like a 50x in price from where it sits now. 50x, maybe 100x. I mean, what that means is, let's say you have $1,000 in your bank account and you want 100x that. Well, $1,000 goes to $100,000. So you just, whatever value you see, add 2 zeros to the end of it, and that makes a huge difference, big difference in what you can buy. And so the price dropped like right away immediately because it just wasn't sustainable. So a bunch of software bots came in and immediately took advantage of that opportunity. And it seems like Hedron's making a lot of people money, and making a lot of software developers money. But let's move a little forward here. Well, before that, so we have Hedron, and this is a little older of a chart before I started this live stream. You have the past few days, you just have really the price going up, and you do have dumps, right? You do have dumps in the price. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. But what we have in the Hedron world is you've had a lot of people dumping, totally dumping the price of Hedron. And here's something that people don't get that is super, super important. All right, so what I just talked about is just to let you all know that there is demand for Hedron. The demand keeps growing every day. So far, Hedron has been up in price, and there's a good reason for that. It's not just a speculative reason. There's a lot of promise. There's a lot of interesting stuff on this completed project. But here you have, well, Hedron. First of all, for the economics of Hedron, or tokenomics, people have the origin address, the originator of Hedron, got X amount of Hedron, but what we have here is you have whales dumping. You have people that got Hedron for free, people in the HEX community that got Hedron for free, and they've been able to mint their new Hedron and dump it. So like I was saying earlier, anybody who is able to claim Hedron for themselves or mint Hedron, what they did was, what these people did is they were able to mint Hedron based on the number of T-shares they had. Not just the number of T-shares for their stakes, but the number of past days, number of days in the past that their stakes had served. If you don't understand HEX, this might not make sense, but if you're having trouble at all, please just ask some questions. I'm so happy to answer your questions on this, and so happy to make this as easy to understand as possible. Over the last 11 or so years, 10, 11, maybe more, maybe 11 years now, I don't know. 11 years that I've been professionally in the cryptocurrency industry, I've seen over and over again, a lot of these things that I'm talking about that are pretty important. But the biggest thing that I've always seen is communication, how to communicate, how to make things easier to understand in cryptocurrency. If you're going to call cryptocurrency money, people aren't going to understand it because people think they understand money, but people don't understand money. It's a rare person I find that understands money. I've run into so many people, even in the corporate world, who are experts at making money out of thin air. They're experts at this, but they don't really understand the monetary system or anything like that. But all right, back to this dumping that's going on, right? So you think, oh, aren't there people who have lots of stashes of Hedron and they can just dump it on the market anytime? And that's something to consider. Now, every time with these dumps happening, Hedron's just gone back up. But what you gotta remember is when a whale is dumping Hedron, that's Hedron they got for free for, let's say, for staking their HEX for 830 days in the past. 830 days. So in order for a lot of these whales who don't care about Hedron, they just want to dump on the market. They just want to get their money. They just want to go, cool. There was somebody who dumped recently a trillion Hedron, and they got about $890,000 for that. So hey, congratulations to them. They saw it and they said, oh cool, $890,000. I'll take that, thank you. They dumped this, but they're not going to be able to dump that again. It took their stakes 830 days, potentially, 830 days to accumulate that many T-shares. 830 days to accumulate that much Hedron. So it's going to take them another 830 days for those whales to be able to dump that hard again. You see? So each time with these decentralized markets, how these work is when a whale dumps their supply into the market, that supply is proportionally distributed between the liquidity providers. So what does that mean? That means that when a whale says, hey, I have a trillion Hedron, I'm going to cash in $890,000 for that, or $850,000, whatever it is. When the whale does that, where does the Hedron go then? Well, the whale ends up taking those dollars proportionally from people who put their money up and said, anybody who wants to buy Hedron, you can take it from me and give me your dollars. And anybody who wants to sell their Hedron, I'll take it from you and I'll give you dollars. That's a liquidity provider. And right now in the Hedron world, let's look back at that screen. Right now in the Hedron world, you have let's see. For Hedron and US dollar coin, you have $3.68 million worth. For HEX and Hedron, you have more than $250,000. About $500,000. And then the rest, let's just ignore that. So you have over $4 million of liquidity. Cool. So you have $4 million worth of people, and let's see here. Let's look at ads. You have like $4 million of 185 pages, 1,850 different accounts that are providing liquidity. So this is pretty distributed. I mean, it can be a lot more distributed. Let's get real with that. But the point is, when these whales are dumping, these funds, this Hedron that they're dumping, it's getting more distributed to your average person and to liquidity providers. So the more, from what I've seen over the last 11 years, a lot having to do with Bitcoin in the beginning, what I've seen is that the more distributed a crypto becomes, the more distributed that a cryptocurrency becomes, the better it can sustain the buying pressure. So the more people that are buying that cryptocurrency because they're interested and it's useful, the price will go up, and then there's less whales that can really dump so hard. Most of the whales that dump hard on people, they gotta wait a while. And that's what people refer to with market corrections. So the point is, this early dumping was really good for Hedron, and it's good, period. You want your supply to be as, you want your token, like if you're making tokens out there, you want your supply of that token to be as distributed as possible. All right, so yes. So what other things are really good for the price here? Well, let me look at some more charts and then get into that, because there's just a lot of really good and super bullish things about that. Here we have, oops, let me get back to the browser. All right, so here what we have is, by the way, is my video good? I've been wrestling with my video. If my video is still choppy and crappy, someone please help me. I need help. It's getting better though, right? So what we have here is, this is very important information, super important. I'll tell you what, I think it was in 2012. Yeah, 2012. I made a trading bot, an automatic trading bot. It wasn't always automatic because that gets kind of scary. But what this trading bot did was it was very successful, but it paid attention to how much buying and how much selling was going, and how much more buying and how much selling was going. So that's what we're going to look at here. Like in the last 5 minutes, I don't know how well you can see this, but according to this, I'm looking at dexscreener.com, DEXCREENER.com, Dex Screener, and I'm looking at the trading going on between Hedron and US dollar coin, and I see within the last hour, 121 people bought, 69 people sold. Well, let's look in the last 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, according to Dex Screener, so there was $8 million in volume. Over 1,100 instances of people buying, and 430 something instances of people selling. So there's a lot more buying going on than selling. And this has been for quite a while with Hedron. And that's why you're seeing this sharp curve up. There's a lot more people buying than people who are selling. Some reasons for that, for example, when people borrow against their HEX stake, the interest that they're going to end up paying on that is going to get burnt and removed from the total Hedron supply. That means that Hedron over time will get more and more rare, more and more scarce. And so people are paying attention. They're listening to this. People are paying attention to these tokenomics that can mean good economics and number go up for traders and for people who are speculating on Hedron, and even for people who are looking to look at liquidated stakes. So, if I'm somebody if I borrow like let's say I'm in a big pinch and I'm able to borrow like, I don't know, $100 or $50 or $200 or even $1,000. If I'm able to borrow $1,000 from one of my stakes, or $1,000 worth of value, keep in mind you're not borrowing dollars, you're borrowing Hedron. Let's say $1,000 in value. You're able to borrow that, right? That's way better than, in a lot of instances, that's better than early end staking or emergency end staking your HEX, because a lot of times you don't get any value for that. So in the Hedron world, if somebody doesn't pay back what they borrowed, that Hedron stake instance, or that HEX stake, people are going to be able to bid on acquiring that HEX stake, which is pretty awesome. So the borrower got some liquidity. Maybe they were in a pinch in their life, who knows? And the borrower decided, I don't want to pay that back. Maybe they didn't pay it back because the price of Hedron just went insane, and they're like, dude, screw that. Like, I'm just going to keep this Hedron that I borrowed, or whatever. There's so many things that can happen. That's why it's called game theory, right? So when people are bidding to take over a stake that someone's not, paying their debts, the bid amount starts at all of the principal and interest due. So the person who decided not to pay their loan back or not to pay back what they borrowed, the first person who wants to take over their HEX stake, they're paying for all that interest, and they're paying for all the fees, and they're paying for all that stuff. And what they pay is going to get ultimately burnt on the network, as in those Hedron tokens are going to go out of supply once again. So you see we have some burnamentals here. And then you have other people coming into auction and other people wanting to take over that stake. Now we're in the mainnet world. Hedron was launched, it's deployed, it's on the Ethereum's main network. And then when Pulse Chain comes out, everything Hedron is going to be copied over to Pulse Chain. And that's cool. That's really exciting. But during the testing phases of Hedron, people were going nuts with auctions. They had a lot of fun with it. And these auctions that can happen, the whole idea of these auctions is one of the biggest reasons why people who are starting to understand Hedron more, they are speculating that people are going to want Hedron when people are going to want to buy these HEX stakes that were borrowed against and people hadn't paid back their whatever. So, if you wait until in about 90 days, you might have your first HEX stakes going up for auction. So you can auction and buy people's HEX stakes. You'll be able to buy them for anywhere between 1% of the cost, and with all that bidding that is surely going to be attracted to, who knows what cost. But people see this, and they say, you know what? When people need to buy Hedron to auction and bid on HEX stakes that are being liquidated, which means it's a inexpensive way or a less expensive way to get the same kind of HEX stake that you would make for yourself. People see this like, well, there's going to be demand, so why don't I just get some Hedron early? This is just from some people I've talked to, or I've seen people who've talked in the Hedron trading chat room and the Hedron chat room. So what you have is like, think of it like this. If someone doesn't pay back the interest on their HEX stake, which interest, today will be about 20% APY or 20% yearly. That's a pretty high interest amount. But it's awesome when you get liquidity. People might even margin trade with that liquidity. So those of you who know about margin trading, there you go. It's kind of like a virtual margin trading. And by the way, I do not condone trading. I am trading right now with Hedron, but I very rarely trade. It's usually a loser's game. Over the long term, it's a loser's game. But sometimes you find really good opportunities that you believe in. And when you believe in them, you might want to do that. So let's see. So these liquidated stakes, these will be worth bidding on because the starting bid, no matter what stake is getting liquidated within the next 90 days, the starting bid, no matter what, it's going to be, well, currently that starting bid would be significantly less than the value of the HEX stake. So the HEX stake that people would be bidding on to acquire, at the moment, the value is going to be a lot less than the actual value of the HEX stake. Now, what is the value of the HEX stake? Well, it's equal to all the principal and interest that you're going to make on that HEX stake. I mean, so basically, in liquidation, the auction is like, you could end up buying a stake where the payout of that stake over time, like maybe the stake will be done in 1 year, 365 days. And the total payout for that stake could be $100,000 in principal and interest. So that's cool. You get $100,000. But how much are you going to pay for it, right? Maybe you pay $1,000 for it because you're the only one bidding on this $100,000 stake. That's probably not going to happen. Other people are going to come in with their Hedron. They're going to bid more. And this could potentially drive the price of Hedron up significantly. Maybe you pay $10,000 for that $100,000 stake. Point is, there's potential for huge demand to buy more Hedron. There's huge demand because you need Hedron to bid. All right, let's look at some more charts here just to point out some interesting things. But point is here, people want it. People want Hedron. Now, there's a lot of speculation that people will want Hedron when they want to buy stakes that have liquidated in the first place. And when people buy those stakes, the Hedron they paid for it gets burnt. So you constantly have Hedron itself becoming more rare over time. All right, let's see. All right, so next what we have here is, okay, we looked at this. This is great. So going back to Uniswap, here's the liquidity. This is super bullish, but let me refresh this because this stuff is changing all the time. And get my Penta water. Penta. Water. All right. So I'm at info.uniswap.org to get information about the Hedron and US dollar coin pair. I mean, liquidity providers are making 1% fees on this right now. That's pretty kick-ass. All right, so, okay, what does this mean here? This is pretty amazing. I'm looking at the liquidity here, and what we have is all right, what you have is you got this red line, and to the right is all the people who want to buy Hedron. That's a shart-load of people that want to buy Hedron. I don't even know how much that is. I wish this area would tell me a little bit about that. All right, so these big bars you see, they represent, like, let me put my mouse over here. All right, somebody who wants $33,000 worth of Hedron at a certain specified price. And then there's a bunch of, so basically each little line you see, and I don't know how well you can see it on my screen, but each little line there, if you can see this little white line moving to the right, as I move this white line to the right, almost all of it represents $30,000 of spending that somebody wants to do. Here it gets into $20,000 because the price drops. So you have this whole area here, this whole mass right here is people that want to buy Hedron. And then here on the left of the red line, you have this mass of, on the left side of that line, you have this big mass of people who want to sell Hedron. Or people who, they say, hey, listen, the people on the left are saying, look, I've got Hedron, and if you want to buy it, you can buy it at this price for me. The people on the right, the people on the right are saying, hey, I want to buy Hedron. The people to the right of the red line are saying, I want to buy Hedron and I want to buy it for this amount. So if you want to sell Hedron, you can give into my demand and you can have it for this price. Obviously, if you're selling, you're going to want to get the best price possible. And on this graph, the best price possible is represented by a little bit to the right of that red line. So a little bit to the right of that red line, it's somebody saying, hey, I'll give you 35 grand for 245,000 Hedron. Sorry, 245,000? Sorry, the price is $1 to 245,000 Hedron. Well, let me calculate what that is. That's 5 zeros and a 4. So how many dollars? $0.0 and 5 zeros and a 4. That's a very small number of pennies. Okay. All right, so what does this mean? This means that there's a lot more people wanting to buy Hedron at a smaller price than a larger price. So the left, once again, represents people who are saying, hey, I'm selling Hedron, but I want to sell it for this price that is currently higher than what the last people online purchased Hedron for. So if you're a buyer and you give into my demand, I'll sell this Hedron to you. And then as soon as a buyer gives into that seller's demand, then the last price of Hedron will be different. It'll go up. That's how your price goes up. So now the point is, when you have, let me refresh this one too. So point is, when you have this asset going up a lot in value because people are seeing, oh, holy crap, we think this is extremely undervalued. When people are studying the tokenomics of this, and you can't really know the tokenomics of something in one day, sometimes not even in a weekend. I've been looking strong at the Hedron, and I learned something today too. So the more people learn about the tokenomics of Hedron, the more people are going to become more bullish about it. There's a lot of really interesting things about it. Hey, maybe some people don't because they have their doubts. Okay, fine, whatever. But what the market is showing, and the market is what you have to listen to. Don't listen to Peter Schiff or other people that tell you to buy gold or tell you to buy real estate or any of this other Bolshevik. What you have here is an asset that can potentially 10,000-fold in price or 100-fold in price from where it's at. Listening to the market, you see that a bunch of whales have dumped their supply, so they can't really dump anymore. You see that the value keeps going up. All right, yeah, value keeps going up, so what? It's got to eventually come down, right? You see that, okay, well, let's see if it's going to come down. You see that in the last 24 hours, you have more than $8 million of trading volume. So where the previous days you had $1 million here, $1 million there, $1 million there. Okay. But in the last 24 hours, you see that more than double the amount of people bought Hedron versus the people who sold Hedron. Maybe not volume-wise, but number-wise, yes. I'm curious about volume-wise. I wonder if it puts it here somewhere. Hey, if the volume-wise of buying and selling is here, that'd be awesome. All right. Okay, so you have this graph kind of showing you all right, something interesting is happening. Will it continue? You look at the trend that people are buying a lot more than people are selling, and you wonder, will that continue? Then you look at the liquidity, which is people putting up money to say, this here, this chart represents, people who put money up. They put up their US dollars or they put up their Hedron and they said, look, I'm putting this money up. It's on the table. You can buy it from me any moment. And since this is Ethereum, people had to pay fees to do this. People had to pay a good amount of change in fees just to put their money on the table. Imagine that you want to sell somebody your water bottle and you got to pay $5, $10, $15, $20, $50 just to tell them, I want to buy that water bottle, or I want you to buy the water bottle for me. So this is people with very clear intentions to buy Hedron. And these are people, to the left of this red line, are people with very clear intentions, and they put their money down, and they spent fees to do so, to say, hey, I want to sell Hedron. Not a whole lot of people are wanting to sell it. Could be a good reason for that. And looking back at this chart here, let's see this. So let me zoom in a little, because, you know, you had this really big thing here. All right, let me zoom in. All right, cool. So you have, I tell you what, you have here lots of buying, a little bit more selling, and I tell you what, like, I know, and I've been talking with investors who are personally, they're personally waiting for this drop. They're waiting for this drop because there's a lot more Hedron that they want to buy. And I tell you what, after this live stream, go ahead and look at March 10th around the 3 a.m. UTC time, 4 a.m. UTC time. And what you're going to see is you see these green candles going up and you see these red candles going down. You're going to see more green candles. I don't know if that's going to continue forever, but I know investors personally that are waiting for this, and I know they're very serious about it. I've seen them slowly putting more and more money into Hedron because they really like the idea. They think it's cool. With the current encapsulated HEX stakes that are being created, you know, people only create Hedron staked instances, or whatever it's called. People only create these HSIs because they want the ability to tokenize it and sell it on an NFT market in the future, or they want the ability to borrow from it in case they run into a big issue. In the HEX world, a lot of people did not lock up their money for 15 years because who the heck knows what can happen for 15 years, right? But of course, if you have a lot of faith, you know, you're going to be fine. But something can happen. You might change your mind, right? You might change your mind about that 15-year stake. You might not want your money to be locked up for 15 years. Because I think for the first 7 years, you would lose all of your money if you sold or if you tried to end that stake. So Hedron comes to the rescue where you can create this encapsulated HEX stake for 15 years, and if you're in a pinch, you can borrow against it. That's cool. That's really neat. All right. You know, I don't think there's a whole lot more I want to say here other than super, super bullish about this. I'm super happy that this came down a little bit. Yes, I'm going to buy more Hedron too because I want to use it in the future. I want to bid on people's HEX stakes. I want to partake in this world. I think it's really cool. I want to create my own Hedron instances as well. I'll continue creating my own HEX stakes. And what else? Let's see. There's some stuff on here. Super Janik, thank you so much for commenting on that. That the video is super smooth. I think it's because I changed my frames per second to 30 instead of 60. Logan's run says vid is still choppy, not too bad. Oh man. I mean, maybe it's the VPN I'm behind and all that stuff, right? So claiming that minting is 2 transactions. By the way, a little note, something that's pretty important to know. When you mint your Hedron, I mean, the whole point of claiming Hedron is right now there's a 9x bonus for like minting Hedron. So if you have HEX stakes, right now you can, if you have HEX stakes, right? And let's say you were going to get 1 billion Hedron for it. Because there's a 9x bonus, you're going to get an additional 9x that. So instead of getting 1 billion Hedron, you're going to get 10 billion Hedron. And 10 billion Hedron is right now worth $44. And the gas for that's probably gonna be like $6. Okay, so that 9x multiplier means instead of getting $44 worth from your past stakes, you're gonna get an additional 9 billion, so a total of 10 billion. So that's $441. Cool. Yeah, so there's a bonus right now. So people you know who have hex stakes, they're going to get bonus extra Hedron. They're going to be able to mint that. So you see, so right now there's a 9x bonus, and that 9x bonus only lasts for 10 days. I don't remember what day we're on, but if you go to hedron.pro, you'll see when that bonus changes. After 10 days, that bonus changes to 8x. After 10 days, that bonus changes to 7x. After 10 days, that bonus changes to 6x. It goes all the way down to 5x, 4x, 3x, 2x, 1x, and then no bonus. So the first 100 days of Hedron's life, Hedron is going to give you a bonus when you print your own money. That's cool. Now there's a function called claim. When you go to hedron.pro, and I feel almost like I should bring up the website, but go to hedron.pro, go to the dApp, click that navigation thing at the top, and you can claim or mint. When you claim, you're just saying, hey, look, I'm aware of the stake, and I want to claim that bonus. Right now the bonus is 9x. So when you hit claim, you're claiming the 9x bonus for the rest of the life of your stake. So in 10 days, you're not going to get an 8x bonus. You're going to get that 9x bonus. In 50 days, you're not going to get that 4x bonus. You're still going to get the 9x bonus. Claiming costs about $6 worth of gas fees. But yeah, I mean, who knows how much Hedron's going to be worth in 100 days from now. So claiming your Hedron and locking in your bonus can be super valuable. Now, do you want to mint your Hedron from your hex stakes? When you mint your Hedron, you're getting the Hedron amount, plus you're getting these bonuses. That's what happens when you mint. When you mint, you print the money and you have new Hedron. And you're like, yes, I got new Hedron. But when you claim, you're just saying, look, I don't want any Hedron right now. I just want to keep my bonus multiplier. Yeah. So, I mean, why is that important? Well, it's important because the people who get into Hedron first and the people who try out Hedron first, they're going to get more of a bonus. So that's cool. It's like a promotional thing to check out. I mean, this is done to incentivize people to use their attention to check out Hedron. So you're getting rewarded for your attention. And that's really important in tokenomics. That's really important in economics, period. So if you want Hedron, press the mint button. When you mint Hedron, whatever bonus multiplier you're at, you're going to keep that multiplier. All right? So you don't need to claim your Hedron from your hex stakes. You don't need to go to the Hedron app, load up your hex stakes, and then claim a hex stake and then mint it. You don't need to do that. Because when you mint, you will be claiming that bonus and holding on to that bonus for the rest of the Hedron thing. Check it out, play around with it. You'll learn more by experiencing it yourself rather than me explaining it to you. Yeah, so A. Stockton, yeah, you're right. When you mint, you save from paying fees versus like claiming and minting, but you might not want to mint. You might not want to mint your rewards. You might want to do that later because there's other bonuses. Yeah, there's other bonuses. Like there's an AMR bonus. Maybe I can talk about it sometime. But if you got a 10x bonus for minting Hedron, and more Hedron needs to be in supply because of the whole borrowing thing, there's another bonus called an AMR bonus, and that bonus might be 10x. So then really you're getting 100x for all the Hedron that you mint because the Hedron system is saying, hey, we need more supply. We need more supply. Because when you have something deflationary like Hedron, or you have mechanics where Hedron's getting burnt, there can be a problem. There can be a huge problem with supply. So that's where this other bonus comes in. So if you don't mint your Hedron and you just claim it with your hex stakes, your old hex stakes, or your new HSIs that you made, if you claim your old hex stakes and you don't mint them, By the time you do mint them, you may get your 9x multiplier that you claimed and locked in for the rest of the life of the stake. And when there's an AMR bonus of 10x or whatever, you're getting 90 times as much Hedron than you would have gotten in the first place. That's sweet, because the example we had earlier, which came out to 440 bucks, well, 90x, I'm just going to multiply it by 90. That's getting 40 grand instead. Now, these are the possibilities from cryptocurrencies. Yeah, this is cool stuff. So I hope you're getting excited about that, because that's cool stuff. And this is why the more people are learning about Hedron, the more they are getting bullish about it. Let me go back to this browser here. And aha! After these red candles, you see green going up. I mean, I don't know if this is, I doubt it's any of the people that I'm thinking about and mentioned. They're probably sleeping, looking at what time it is in their time zone. But let me refresh that. Okay, look at this. I love this Dex Guru thing. Yeah, so in the last 24 hours, price is up. Yeah, price is up. Let's see what's going on. Yep, it's going up in price. Well, that's cool. All right, so what we have here too is other stuff. Balliet brand, looking great, Robert. You're welcome to my channel anytime. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I've lost a bit of weight lately. Like 2 weeks ago, I started eating only fruit again. And if you haven't eaten only fruit, I have videos on that on my YouTube channel. There's some video, it's got a lot of plays. It's about only eating fruit for a month. And by the way, other videos you may want to check out on my channel. One is about using your desire to make money. Like, a lot of people talk about making money by using the law of attraction, like from The Secret. That stuff's misleading and kind of BS. And I know this from experience and experience again. And I know this very truthfully, that it's really your desire and your emotional issues that have a lot more to do with attracting money into your life. You can't think about it. You can't think, I want money, I want money. You have to desire it. You have to long for it. Sort of like when you first saw that girl or that guy that you just like, you know, you saw her and you were just like, oh my God, she is so beautiful. And you just wanted to talk to her, but maybe you didn't talk to her yet. You know, there's a lot of desire to talk with her or him, you know, whichever. And you just wanted to get to know them. And maybe you made some steps. You had that desire. And then you had that faith that even though they might reject you, you had that faith that, you know what, they're going to like me. They're going to like what I have to share with them, and this might be cool. Or maybe not, maybe it's terrible. But point is, desire creates amazing things and amazing relationships. And if you have a bad relationship with money, you got to look into your desire and you got to look into your emotions. And I have a video about that too. And I believe in that video, it's a kind of recent video, just look at my uploads. I believe in that video, I refer to some things that you can do, like some practical things that you can do to do that and to understand it. But yeah, Brand, thank you. About 2 weeks ago, so I ate only fruit for a week, and that really got my brain back together, really helped me out a bit. And over the last few days, I've eaten more than just fruit, especially over this like wonderful weekend I had. But over the last few days, I've been doing exercises specifically to move junk out of my body, to move junk out of my lymph system. And when you do that, you start getting less swollen and you start getting less fat and bloated. So thanks, man. Appreciate that. Balliet, is that your art in your background? I have no idea. Cool. Hedronians. Thank you, Marianne. Hedinger. Thank you. Richard Hart style down, except it fits you better. Oh, cool. I think. Someone said that. I was like, 10 billion Hedron is more like $45,000. Probably. My math brain is like dead today. Yeah, what did I do wrong with my math? Oh, I don't know. My math brain is probably dead today. I've just been killing it today. I made a bunch of different formulas to maybe I can show you here, but I made some formulas to determine like what the true price of T shares are. Not that there's a market for it. And then I realized it was quite simple, but I still dove into that formula, which has a lot to do with the longer pays better bonus from HEX and the bigger pays better bonus. You know, I wanted to find out how much. I wanted to find out like if you see a stake, right, that you want to purchase, or sorry, a stake that's getting liquidated that you want to take over. I looked into what would it take to get that stake yourself. How much HEX would you actually have to get, right? How much HEX would you actually have to stake to get the same number of T shares, and etc. And that's, you know, that's not an easy number. It's a little more. It's not an easy number. It's a algebra is very helpful. Let's just say that. All right. Thank you for the good info. You're right. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad a lot of you I'm glad you like these videos, and yeah, I appreciate that you like them. I just, you know, I can't stand it when there's like great information out there, but you can't really find it. You have to discover it yourself. So I do like to share that a lot. All right, well, hey everyone, have a good day or good night, whatever time zone you're in, and I'm gonna do the same. To be frank, I'm gonna buy some more Hedron. So I'm super bullish about Hedron. Check out my last video if you haven't seen it. I do talk about a big problem that Hedron needs to overcome. It's not really a problem, it's just something that needs to happen in the ecosystem of Hedron. Not the ecosystem, more like what needs to happen as far as the market. And you know what? I believe it'll happen. I believe it'll happen because people are going to find it fun. They're going to want to do it anyways. And, you know, people aren't always in cryptocurrency just for the money. Bots are in it for the money, but people, a lot of times in cryptocurrencies, they're feeling really good about what they're making, like monetarily. They're having a ton of fun, and they like to experiment. And there's a lot to learn through experimentation in the cryptocurrency world. It's freaking cool. Now, if you're greedy as hell and just wanting somebody else to do work for you, you're going to lose money. You're going to lose money. There's too many people that want to take advantage of you. But if you take on your own responsibility and take on responsibility yourself and do these things, you can learn a lot and you can have a ton of fun. Yeah, cryptocurrency is awesome. It's life-changing. It's going to give... cryptocurrency is our key to... you know, if you're a fan of the forefathers of the United States, if you're a fan of 1776 and that whole time period, if you're a fan of this idea to have financial freedom and to be more decentralized for the sake of being able to exercise your free will and your desire and pursuit to be happy, something like cryptocurrency does that and amplifies that. And that's crazy because it's a technology. You know, it's not people fighting and killing for it. So crypto is awesome. All right, cool. Hey, love you all. Thanks for checking this out. And bye. See you. Take care. I'm going to go enjoy my freaking box. I can't tell you how freaking excited I am about this thing. All right, bye-bye.